Messaging tip for candidates and communicators. Never catch their grenade. This is a tip that I learned from a infamous political strategist, Rick Wilson, who is known for his work on the Lincoln Project and many other campaigns. I heard Rick talk about never catching the grenade during a virtual lecture that I sat in on. What he means is when someone lobs maybe a question at you on an issue that you don't feel comfortable answering, or even if it's just not aligned with your messaging for the day, you don't have to catch that question. You don't have to catch the grenade. You can just lob it back. I saw an example of this in the Washington Post just this morning, and I wanted to share. So when asked about Elon Musk, Abigail Spanberger she's the Democratic gubernatorial candidate in Virginia right now. And Virginia has off-cycle elections, so Abigail will be on the ballot this November. This is a campaign that should be rocking and rolling, a campaign that should be laser focused on messaging with only a few months to go. So Abigail gave this response to a question about Elon to the Washington Post. Certainly, Musk is viewed as a villain because of the cartoonish nature of the way he's acted. But at the end of the day, these cuts happened under the administration. For most Virginians, it's the administration overall and the chaos overall. So I love this quote because it shows two things. One, what not to do, and two, how to get back on track. So that first part where she's actually catches herself catching their grenade, catches herself answering the question, kind of, and bumbling it, talking about Musk being viewed as a cartoon character, talking about it in a more nuanced way, grasping at straws, trying to figure out, well, what do Virginians really think about Elon and what do they don't? That was bad. We should not be doing that in our responses. But then she catches herself and she uses a pivot phrase that, she's obviously used and practiced with, which is, but at the end of the day. So she pivots back to something that is more top line for her in her messaging. These cuts happened under the administration. For most Virginians, it's the administration overall and the chaos overall, which is clearly she's trying to direct any, unrest, any angst towards the White House, not necessarily to Elon. So that back half of her question is doing that. But I do think still it's not as tight as you might want an answer to be, especially in that stretch of the campaign. And really, I think it shows that any of us who are doing media interviews or podcast interviews, what we can learn from this. First of all, she answered the question too directly. Again, she caught that Elon Musk grenade when she really shouldn't have. She should have just lobbed it back. And she tried to qualify her response. She tried to take a nuanced approach. But really what we need to consider is when we're doing any interview is that it is an experiment in persuasion. So we need to be using every moment to earn people's opinion and to sway them to our side. Every question is an opportunity to pivot, to contrast, and to repeat your core message. You don't win by sounding balanced. You win by being clear and unforgettable. So what to do instead? Here's what I wish Abigail should have said and instead of the quote that came out in the Post. And probably this is what she has been practicing, which is drawing a much sharper contrast with an opponent. So, if you're asked about Elon, I would have directed her to say something like, well, Virginians are right to be worried that my opponent is in lockstep with a wildly unstable White House who's made off-the-rail cuts that are harming Virginia families and small businesses. That's a message with contrast, with urgency, and with clarity. And you don't have to answer the reporter's questions directly. Again, if you're on a podcast, you don't have to answer the host's questions directly. Your only job, what you do have to do is land your message, pivot into your talking points, draw a line, draw a contrast, make a sale, but don't waste a single moment.